wounded and on the mend in the hospital. Citizens, now is the time to stay calm, to be vigilant. This is not a time to come out to sightsee. Listen to your federal, local, state officials. Be vigilant. If you saw something, say something. If you know something,
We have a choice. We can run in fear, or we can indeed stand in strength. In a time of crisis, people are looking for leadership. You are looking at the leadership. And I promise you, as the chief of police of this city has been tried by fire before. But fire purifies. Fire makes things stronger. We have a plan. We know what to do. We are going to get these people. There is a path forward. Very pleased that we will be back to having a wonderful game tomorrow night. New Orleans police have proven their ability to make the city safer. Just 2 years ago, we were the murder capital of America. Today, from that time 2 years ago, we have driven our murder rate more than 50% down. So we have a track record. But this is different because it's terrorism. Now I want to thank all of our law enforcement partners. You're fabulous, and we appreciate the partnership. But last night, 3 of our officers engaged this terrorist who shot at them. 3 of the officers returned fire. Those officers did not run in fear. I liked what the mayor said this morning. New Orleans police and all law enforcement is built. We are built for dealing with evil, with things that would cause others to be in fear, but instead our officers, and last night NOPD in particular, stood strong. They did not run. They did kill the terrorist. We have 2 officers indeed who received gunfire. They will be okay. We have personally gone to see them. But this is leadership for you. And I promise, as the chief of police of this fantastic city, that I will be strong and firm and fearless. Thank you.
Thank you. In wrapping it up, I want to just close with a couple of things. I want to thank Senator Kennedy and Congressman Carter. I want to thank again all of our law enforcement officers out there. I want the families of the victims to know that I will be issuing an executive order that tomorrow, when Notre Dame plays Georgia, every flag of every state building in this state is going to be at half-mast. In remembrance of them, but remembering something else. That fear in this state is alive. And these folks right here are going to make sure that justice is served. And for the citizens out there that are saying, well, man, do I really want to go to the Sugar Bowl tomorrow? I tell you one thing, your governor's going to be there. That is proof, believe you me, that that facility in this city is safer today than it was yesterday. And as we come to additional events in this city, I know in speaking with Senator Kennedy and Congressman Carter, and FBI acting director, and the incoming administration, that they are going to ensure that this city has the resources necessary to protect our citizens and our guests. And so with that, we'll take some questions.
All right, if you could, we'll start over here with CBS. Katie, we'll work our way across the room. If I miss you, just give me a holler. I may not see you. Go ahead, Katie.
Thank you, sir. Katie Weiss with CBS News. I mean, I think this has been a really tough day for a lot of people, but at this point, we're hearing that the death toll, according to some FBI sources, has gone up to 15. Is this true?
I can speak to it, because unless, do you have a final number? We do not have a final number. We know that we have confirmed 10, but we did have people who had been transported who were in critical condition. And so I do not know that, but I can confirm 10.
And one quick follow-up question, if I may. We know that there have been some local records in Texas about a misdemeanor background on this suspect. Any signs or warnings ahead of time about this person or their plans for what happened this morning?
Because that is the investigation part, I will give the FBI.
At this time, we cannot go into details about the subject's history. What I can tell you, the person was an Army veteran. We believe he was honorary discharged, but we're working through this process, figuring out all this information. The goal with the FBI is providing with the most accurate and complete information. So once that information is confirmed, we'll make sure we push that out. Thank you.
Ariel?
At this time, do you know exactly, as far as the victims, how many are from here in Louisiana versus out of state, and their ages maybe?
At this time, I can't go into details about all the victims. We want to make sure that the family is notified appropriately before we put any information out there. So once the families are all notified, then we'll go ahead and release a statement to everyone.
And I would ask the press, in relation to the victims and those that are in hospice, if we could just refrain from worrying about them so their loved ones can take care of them, and the medical personnel that are trying to get them out of the hospital can do so. And as information becomes available, we want to respect the privacy of those who are still either fighting for their lives or being cared for. Thank you.
A follow-up, if I may.
Go ahead.
You guys mentioned accomplices. You don't think that the suspect acted alone. About how many more suspects are you guys looking into at this point?
It's a range of suspects, and right now with that fact, we do not run a rule or anything else, so that's why we're asking if anyone has had any interaction with the deceased subject Jabbar in the last 72 hours, provide us with this information. You can provide us that information through 1-800-CALL-FBI or our digital tips line, which is available on our social media website, as well as the big FBI website.
Can I say something right there? Tell me who you're with.
WDSU.
WDSU. Okay, and CBS.
NBC's over here on the right.
Oh, that's an unusual position.
I don't get it.
You wouldn't. Look, the FBI is not going to be able to answer those questions. Okay, they will eventually. I promise you. Okay, once the FBI has a chance to investigate all this, along working with state police, working with Homeland Security, working with the city of New Orleans, they're going to tell you what happened. I can promise you that, or I'm going to raise fresh hell. But right now, they're in the process of trying to catch the other bad guys. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt for a while.
26.
Yeah, I had a question about the victims. I know that there was obviously gunfire exchange, so I guess how many victims were shot and then how many were injured?
Look, again, let me reiterate both Special Agent Duncan and Senator Kennedy. There's a lot of, I get that y'all want to know minute details. What we don't want to do is impede this investigation or spend any time talking about things that don't get us closer to hunting these folks down and securing the city. And so at a particular point in time, we will release as much information as we can, but at this time, in relation to the investigation, I would ask y'all to refrain from those.
So ladies and gentlemen, if we're going to just have more of the same, as the governor just said, we're going to provide that information, but we're going to wrap the press conference now.
We have a question down there,
Hold on
no.
a second. Hold on.
Let me finish. You weren't listening. If all of the questions are more of the same, what the governor just said in position, we won't be doing that to provide that information. And if you have a quick different question,
Mine's different.
then let's
Most
do that
definitely.
quickly and move on. Okay?
My question.
Hold on. We're gonna do this in an orderly fashion.
You say there are multiple suspects.
Hold on,
Hold on,
sir.
sir.
Hold on. Think who was next? We had over here.
Hi, Rachel Wolf from the Wall Street Journal. You said you were confident there are multiple suspects involved. What makes you confident in that? Is there
Well,
other?
like, why would we tell you that?
Well, what?
Again, I mean, look, again, we want to answer pertinent questions. But anything that would lead to impeding or endangering this investigation is not going to be said, okay? And we will, as information unfolds, this is a very fluid process. And remember something too, we're doing two things. We're hunting some bad people down and we're securing the city too, we're getting ready for a Sugar Bowl tomorrow. So if y'all would, again, if you have questions regarding Sugar Bowl, the safety of the city, or something to that effect, we're happy to answer.
It's over here.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
Give me 1 second. Usually in parts of the French Quarter, specifically in parts of Bourbon Street, there are bollards. We're hearing that some of those may have been down because of repairs. Can you speak to that? And maybe was there any backup option of putting a truck there or NOPD car there?
Well, let me tell you, yeah, one, I'm gonna let the mayor answer. I want you to know that's one of the first things I thought of this morning, when the mayor called me, okay? And I will tell you that whatever the problem was, is going to be solved.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor, and thank you for the question. I do understand that it's been on your radar since this morning. As it relates to the bollards on Bourbon Street, over 10 years ago, excuse me, okay, over 10 years ago, the city of New Orleans implemented an infrastructure project placing bollards on Bourbon Street. Shortly thereafter, the malfunctions of those bollards ensued, from Mardi Gras beads on down. But the New Orleans Police Department, of course, deemed them inefficient because they did not operate the way that they were intended to do. Because the city of New Orleans is hosting Super Bowl this year, it gave the city of New Orleans an opportunity to go further and deeper with infrastructure improvements, as we've been talking about. So as a result of that, we were able to build in bollard replacement into our Super Bowl infrastructure package. And because of that, the city of New Orleans has moved forward with that infrastructure that is nearing completion. Bollards were not up because they are near completion, with the expectation of being completed, of course, by Super Bowl, way before Super Bowl. But that is the reason. Now, the New Orleans Police Department and Chief, you can speak to the deployment to respond to our needs and existing conditions.
All right, so we have been aware of the bollard situation for a long time. And we did indeed harden those target areas where the bollards are. We have patrol cars out there as a hard target, as well as with barriers. Now, I want to share with y'all, if you did not know, that this particular terrorist drove around onto the sidewalk and got around the hard target, where he did have a car there, we had barriers there, we had officers there, and they still got around. Now, the wedges that you see out there as well, we knew that that had malfunction problems. And I want you to understand, let's say we put the wedge up and it got stuck. There is no way that ambulance could get in or out, people couldn't get in and out, so we knew that these were malfunction. So we did indeed have a plan, but the terrorist defeated it.
A follow-up, if I may.
Let me just say this. We recognize we got a problem here, right? We're gonna fix it. It is going to be a top priority as we go into the Super Bowl in Mardi Gras. And the solution that we're gonna come up with is gonna be a permanent one. It's gonna be placed into the standard operating procedure of having major events and securing that quarter.
A follow-up, if I may. Obviously, Sugar Bowl postponed till tomorrow, but I'm sure after that game, a lot of people are going to want to celebrate. Are there plans to keep Bourbon Street closed? What does that look like?
So right now, Bourbon Street is an active crime scene. and the FBI is in charge of it. When they clear it, and it does not become an active crime scene anymore, we're gonna open it up.
Olivia Vidal with Fox 8. Can we ask about this military police presence that you want to call it? Is this a private security like Blackwater? Also, would that be a first that a private security firm is mobilized to supplement local and state law
No,
enforcement?
no, we're not, this is our National Guard. These are our citizens that we bring in. It's a military police company that we recognize we need some more resources. We need some more boots on the ground. Because again, what we're doing now is twofold. We've got an active investigation and we've got enhanced security. Before this event, we were just enhancing and working on security. So we brought some additional resources.
Hi there. Jesse Kirsch with NBC News. Thank you for holding this press review. I just want to clarify something first. We were just talking about bollards that are being repaired, talk about a lift gate that are replaced and then a lift gate that's not been working. Was there a vehicle in place of that lift gate last night? Were there things in place of those bollards which are being repaired?
Sure, the chief spoke to the plan in place, and that is, yes.
That was indeed.
So anything that is currently in the midst of being repaired had a backup replacement for
It
last
had
night?
vehicles and officers were there where all of those ballasts have been. We had that, we knew, so we did have it. And like I said, in this particular case, terrorists just went all the way around up onto the sidewalk.
And for the lift gate, what about for the lift gate? Was there a vehicle like backing in and out to block that lift gate area, or was that just down and open? Because that's what we've heard from a witness.
Chief, Captain. The reason I'm calling the captain, he's the captain over that district, and that is a question I'm gonna let him address for you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Captain LeJean Roberts of the 8th District. Yes, we did have a vehicle strategically placed right in front of the wedge, preventing access onto the roadway.
And in terms of the framework of security that was already in place on Bourbon Street, I know this is an ongoing project of improvement, but with how that was all aligned, was someone getting up on a sidewalk considered impossible or nearly impossible, or was this not something you expected you would have to account for?
Yes, of course, it wasn't something we expected to account for. The bollards they're actually wedges. They're strategically placed 5 locations throughout the French Quarter on the roadway. This particular terrorist drove onto the sidewalk behind the police car to gain access to the 100 block of Bourbon Street.
So if you're worried about someone ever driving down Bourbon Street, why weren't you worried about someone driving up the sidewalk in the same way, or at least bracing for it in the same way for all these years?
All right, look,
You'll be next, Chelsea.
we could go on what ifs forever, but this is evil. And that guy could have easily gone down the sidewalk of Canal Street, where there were a ton of pedestrians on there as well.
And there are
And there are.
bollards
That's right.
on some
You're right.
sidewalks, so that's I'm
Right.
just asking.
Hold
why
on a
is-
second, we're gonna move on. Chelsea, go ahead.
Just want you to know, however, we recognize, I said earlier, that where there are defects in this system, we are going to be transparent, and we are going to address them with the city and make sure that we fill those gaps as best we can.
Thank you.
Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea Brazen with Axios. I have a question just about sort of ongoing public safety today. Special Agent mentioned 2 possible IEDs. Were those in the same location? Should residents in the French Quarter or elsewhere be concerned about potential other situations?
The 2 IEDs, they were in different locations, and what we've done in conjunction with our local and state partners, we've gone through and done a sweep to identify anything that we thought was suspicious, and we have not. However, as I said before, if the public sees something, please reach out to us, that way we can go through and verify that we did not miss anything. But we conducted initial sweeps, I think, starting shortly after our initial
Yes, I'm gonna, thank you,
conference.
Agent. I do want to share that we have a plan, and we have been implementing that plan. One of those plans is that we have swept all of these areas. The word swept means we have put officers out there as a grid, walking down the streets, every street in the French Quarter, looking for suspicious packages, bags, ice chest, you name it. And they have been walking it as a grid. We've been doing the same thing on Poydras and all the accesses into the Superdome. part of the safety plan is we have bomb dogs out there sweeping the Superdome and all the exterior area, and we're locking that down. That will be locked down through the game tomorrow. So that's a part of that safety plan, and we've already been implementing it.
Okay, thank you all for
Yes,
coming
I'm
out.
Question
back here for the governor on the MPs. How many MPs will be deployed to New Orleans?
Right now, there's I think it's a General Freelo, 100?
100.
100, and, yeah. All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, give